What's up, guys? Not sure what episode this is. Talking Sobriety with Colin, Morrison. I'm here with my good friend of over like 20 years, Kenny Watson. I think all you guys that are watching this are probably motocross guys, hopefully. Kenny Watson's a pioneer in this sport. He started Moto-XXX, RCH, #1 plate. I mean, you've kind of done it all. What else? I mean, how do you explain who you are?
Well, I think I was part of the XXX thing coming up. Did that for a while. Went to Plano Honda. Did that for a while. Started a brand called Utopia Optics, a goggle company with a good friend, Jim Hartman. Left there, went to Las Vegas and started the Hart and Huntington race team with Kerry Hart, and that kind of ventured off to the RCH program with Ricky Carmichael.
So you guys got a #1 plate, and you said that all in like 20 seconds, but that is, dude, the accomplishments in there, it's huge. And you were like the guy that made, I would like to say, probably the guy that made all that happen. I know it's a team effort, but you really, I don't know, you're a legend, I like to say.
I wouldn't go that far, but like you said, there's not one person. There's no I in team. You always, for me, wherever I went, I always tried to find the good nucleus of people. You surround yourself with good people, and those good people will do good things. If you have bad people around you, you're not going to get the job done.
Yeah.
And I've learned that throughout the course of my career in this industry, and hopefully there's good things to come in the future for me.
I think you were the guy that always thought outside the box, which a lot of those things I think worked with Moto-XXX. I mean, everything you kind of had your foot in, it worked, and it was rad. And then we did Warped Tour together. I feel like we can write a book about that. But this guy was our team manager on Warped Tour, which we jumped in front of 10,000 people every single day. We lived on a tour bus in front of some of our favorite bands, NoFX, Pennywise. This guy was our team manager. I think he wanted to kill us pretty much
every day,
98% of the time. We did that for 3 years, and I think that was a big reason I ended up in rehab.
Probably.
That was really hard to live that lifestyle. The girls, the partying. I mean, you just I felt like a rock star, even though, we're dirt bike riders, but I really got sucked in that lifestyle. Then right after, I remember, the day we came home, and like just all my buddies are like at high school parties, and I couldn't even, like, it was so hard for me to come back. Like, dude, you guys have no fucking idea. Like, I kept the party going, and that I really look back at, like, Warped Tour. That was really
Warped Tour was fun, man. We had a lot of good times on the Warped Tour, and I would have to say that between you and Brian Deegan and Twitch and Evans was out there for a while, and Link Logel and Feist and Clifford and Trevor from wherever.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good times. Hart, man, you remember when Hart came on the bus?
I remember Hart. I'm sure he's not going to watch this, but I remember
him get sick on the bus?
We were in Ventura, and I remember that's when we got into GHB. He was really into GHB on that first part of the tour. He introduced me to that, so thanks a lot, Hart. But we were drinking that from the capfuls, and like one cap is like, I don't know, a 24 pack, but I remember we were so drunk on that. I passed out at In-N-Out. Everybody was pouring ketchup on my head. But that night, he was with some chick. I remember he got out of his bunk. He threw up all down the hallway, and then he made the bus driver stop in the freeway. And then I think he got out and he was trying to run across the freeway or something.
No, he got out. The bus driver made him get out to get sick. Then he got back on the bus, and he literally, like, when you walk into a bus that has like 2 steps and then the driver's seat, then you turn and you go down. Well, Hart thought he could sleep on the 2 steps, like 1 foot on and then laying on the top step. And when the bus driver got there, he got out and he went and told the lead bus driver what happened. And then the owner of the Warped Tour, which usually came to our bus every day from a problem, Kevin Lyman, came in and said, "Who fucking puked all over the bus? They're cleaning it." And we're all, "Hart did it!" And he goes, "Oh, it's cool." So Hart got a hall pass always. They always loved Kerry Hart.
Oh my God.
But that's only one story. I mean, there's
every single night. It was 2.5 months on tour. Every day we're in a different state, and we'd party, we'd sleep, and then we'd wake up, and we'd be in a different state. Everything was set up.
Wait, let me get it. The riders would sleep. The crew and myself, we had to get up and build the ramps, put bike rack around it, make it safety. But when the riders woke up, the first things out of their mouth when they walked out of the bus, too windy, we're not jumping today.
You know that now. You gotta admit, I was the one that always went for it. Remember the half pipe?
Yeah, okay. Even if, in Florida.
Okay, yes.
Even if it was too windy and we didn't ride because of wind, this dude would be on his bike just popping wheelies. Always had to be in front of, putting on a show. That's what people wanted to see. So
the biggest deal was like showing off in front of like No Effects, Pennywise, AFI, Ranted, and these guys were like looking up to us.
Yeah, they were stoked. The bands were stoked because before the moto guys got on the Warped Tour, it was only skating, and it was BMX on a half pipe. So
when you get a dirt bike,
when we got the first year was in '98, I believe, was Mickey Diamond was going to do the whole tour, and we had wood ramps, and we used to pick up the 2 wood ramps with forklifts and load them on flatbeds at the end of the day. But Mickey brought the 2 ramps that he built at home to Phoenix, and we had a practice day before the first show. And Hart with his Kawasaki, I'll never forget this. Hart had a Cowie, flesh gear, no shirt on, hit the ramp, landed, and freaking went right through it.
Oh my God! I've never heard this story.
His bike stuck, went right through the landing ramp. He got ejected. He was so pissed that some of his tattoos got ripped. And he was just like, dude, that's going to scar. I just got that. And dude,
I never heard that story.
Yeah, so that's the beginning of it, the whole deal. And Mickey Diamond and Kevin Lyman, they came up with it, but we kind of modified it. We, after being on the tour for a year, I was trying to say, let's get a little bit more creative. And we came up with the idea of when you're standing out in the crowd of the Warped Tour and you're looking at the main stage, there's a gap between the 2 stages. So I thought if we could, they have the back line where all the gear is for all the bands. So I had the idea, let's set up the ramps behind the stage, and those guys can jump when the bands are playing, and all the guys the crowd is just going to see is motorcycles jumping through. And we did that a few times. And, when that whole thing started, I did that, and then I was lucky enough to get on with the Boom Boom Huck Jam and went to work for Tony Hawk and did that for a while. And after that, my mind was like, man, there's a lot more to this than, just dirt bikes at a track. And, doing the XXX thing, I knew how the crowds were. So what I tried to do was bring that flavor of not really freestyle, but the freestyle lifestyle where people could come and enjoy, the atmosphere of the races.
Yeah.
And when Carrie and I came together, we said, hey, let's build an experience where people come to the races and they leave and they said, that was a good time. Because a lot of people know that go to Supercross races. Do you know who got 4th last year at Anaheim?
Nobody.
4th's a rad finish. But you don't remember that.
Pits. How rad the pits were.
You remember how the pits were, exactly.
So I guess we're jumping into Supercross now, but you're going like, you got all your ideas pretty much from the Warped Tour days.
And that experience that those people were feeling, I was just trying to bring that experience, whatever I could do, and Carrie was behind me and had a lot of really good ideas. So every year we elevated.
Yeah.
And, and that all came from building relationships from sponsors from the Boom Boom Huck Jam and the Warped Tour, and kept friends with a lot of those people and built relationships and moved those relationships over to Supercross and Motocross. And that's kind of where it snowballed. And there's one thing I've always learned is keep your relationships with business tight and don't burn bridges.
100%. I see that all the time. This industry is so small, man. And people, the rookies, man, I tell them you just can't burn a bridge. This industry is so small, and you see guys, they come in, they do the wrong thing, they're out the next month.
Yeah,
so
it's
really quick. Because I just want to. You're the guy, but just really to go back to Warped Tour, the 2 stories I remember are when Brian Deegan. I love talking Warped Tour, but I don't tell anybody because half the shit they don't believe. I mean, you can't. You lived it with me.
But I remember barbecue sauce.
No, I remember it. Brian Deegan and Tyler Evans, they would go heat up like 12 thing of burritos, and they'd have a plate, and they'd go into everybody's buses and get hot burritos and then shove them into everybody's VCRs. Everybody was so pissed. Wait. Just what happened on Warped Tour? The gnarly thing, the kid driving the bus.
That was gnarly. That was
this is
gnarly.
The last story, then we can get on and talk about the sober stuff.
We could talk about Warped Tour for an hour. I mean, there's stories.
Last story.
I got one story for you too from Warped Tour.
Make it 2, but
and
tell
this
the
is
bus
be.
story.
You can tell your story, but mine's a little bit about drugs and recovery, but it's about the work.
I'm gonna get into mine first. I just remember driving, and I don't know who woke me up, but it was the bus driver. He was like a 60-year-old guy, and he was like our guy because he drove. We like lived with the guy for 3 months, and he had his son on tour, where his son would be passenger and just be part of the whole deal. But remember, we woke up. I don't know who woke me up. Maybe it was you. And I fucking got up, and we had like 15 guys in the bus, and dude, this 13, 14-year-old kid was driving the bus.
He was steering it because it was on cruise control. Well, that's what the guy told me.
But I remember how pissed we were. And then I remember like people were so over our bus driver the next night, one of the guys ripped him out of the bus when we were trying to leave and kicked his ass. And this guy, I don't know. I guess we're just going on. It's in my head, but it was fucking...
Were you on the tour of the year when Link logo?
No, I missed that one. That was with like Ellis, Link, Hart. I missed that one. I heard many stories. I know about the big fight on the boat or something. This is all stuff you guys will just talk about. All right.
My story, and we were going into Canada.
Is this with me?
A little bit.
Oh, okay. Okay. I know it.
We were going into Canada, and my little buddy here had some probation issues, or he's been arrested. And when you go to Canada, DUI, and you cannot have no DUIs, or you have to pay and all this stuff. Well, Colin didn't take care of any of that stuff, and I didn't know about it until we got to the border. So my job was, when we got to the border, I get everybody's passports. The immigration officer from Canada looks at everybody's passports, stamps them, gives them back. There's another guy that gives you your passport when you walk. You show him when you get on the bus. And you got to remember, there's probably, no exaggeration, 30 buses at immigration.
Yeah, I was happy.
Because you're talking about the whole Warped Tour and everybody's bus. So there was just, in front of buses, there was just groups and groups of people. So as soon as we got out of the bus, we're all standing there, and Colin's like telling me this. And the first thing I tell Colin is, go over to the Pennywise guys and stand over there. Do not come back here until I tell you. He goes, okay. So Colin bails. We all go in. We get our stuff done. We get our passports. Everyone goes back onto the bus. I tell Colin it's okay. I said, just go into your bunk, shut the curtains, and pretend like you're sleeping. We're getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden, the guy goes, hey, we're going to run the dogs through your bus. Oh, and I'm like, fuck.
We were the party bus. We had...
So, we go about 10 minutes outside, and then the guy goes, hey, can you come in here for a second? And I'm like, fuck, he got Colin. He got Colin. And Colin's bunk was, if you're walking down, it was middle bunk
to the left, right.
To the right. So there's a door that goes into the back lounge. And the dog's sitting right in front of Colin's bunk. And I'm like, fuck, but Colin's curtains are still shut. And the guy walks up to me and he goes, what's this? And he holds this big Ziploc bag, and there's this little piece of hash about that big. And he goes, what's this? And I'm like, it looks like dirt. And the guy goes, you know what this is? This is hashish. I'm like, where did you get it? He goes, someone put it in the molding. What? Below the TV. You know how the TVs are like that? Yeah. And I'm all, sir, this bus is used by tons of people.
Yeah.
We've been on tour for a week. I don't know. My guys are all good. They're all professional athletes. They don't do this shit. And I walked out there, and no one fessed up to it. And I had to take care of it legally. I had some legal issues in Canada for a long time. So, Bo Manley, thank you for all the headaches you caused me, because I know it was you, and you told me after it was you, you cocksucker.
Wow, Bo. What a...
So Bo went like this, put it in there. Because you remember how I was freaking out? We vacuumed that bus at least 30 times.
I remember.
We put pepper all over the carpet, and the dogs started sniffing the pepper. They're all, ah!
That's so funny. I don't remember that story. We got so many stories. We got to get back to the sober talk. You are a miracle. You just got 1 year sobriety.
Yep.
Last week.
Yep.
We just had to bury our buddy that died from heroin. He was one of our good friends. He passed out. We're actually, I'm not going to say the name, but we're actually doing an intervention for one of our buddies right now. So in the past 2 weeks, we had to see one of our buddies die. We just sent one of our buddies to rehab. It's real, and that's why I'm doing this stuff. This guy's changed his life around. I don't even know how to begin, like how deep you want to get, but like, how'd you get into pills? How'd you get sober? As easy as that.
To make a long story short, I was brought up around the program. I had about 13 years of sobriety at one time, and I thought that it was all good and I can go out and do it my way, and started going on those tours, and Colin he was out there with me, and I was literally having drugs delivered to the Warp Tour in motorcycle parts boxes, and they would call me on the radio saying, "Hey, your motorcycle parts are here," and I'd go pick them up, and I'd put them under the driver's name to the hotels because I didn't want to send too many parts, and they would be writing checks for these parts, and they'd be paying for our pills.
This is new to me.
On Warp Tour. And it was, my addiction got really blown out of control. And then in about 2003, I surrendered, and I got clean again, and I stayed clean for about 2003. I stayed clean until 2011. And from 2011
until 100% no alcohol, nothing?
Yeah, nothing.
Wow.
Program. And then I moved to Las Vegas. I was good there for a few years, and I was working for Kerry Hart. He had a club called Wasted Space. I had a key to the castle. I had my own table. I had bottle service. I could get into the club anytime I wanted, and the wheels kind of fell off. I met a girl, had a baby. She had a baby, and thought that was going to straighten me up and change my life, which it did for a little bit, but I did it without program.
Yeah.
So about a year ago, I just hit a bottom that I've never felt before. It was more of a emotional depression, addiction like I've never felt of being a father. My dad has really never been in my life, and I was so worried that my daughter was going to grow up without a father. And I thought that I was less than. I couldn't be there for her. I couldn't help her. I couldn't do anything. And the depression was the main thing that I was dealing with. And it was suicidal. And it got really, really bad where I pretty much hibernated for about 3 months. I didn't leave my house. And we were talking about, the goals that I achieved. Kerry Hart has been a really good friend to me besides a business partner. And I pretty much, told him what I was going through, and he, was cool enough just to say, get your shit together. And for 3 months, I stayed home, did not leave my house, got fucking fast food, went and got pills, and hibernated for 3 months until I hit my bottom, and it was either get clean and do this program the right way or kill myself. And I ate about 4 Xanax bars and a box of Benadryl, and was out for about 3 days and woke up with just...
Were you trying to end it, or...?
No, I don't think I was trying to end it. I was just trying to numb the pain. Yeah. I didn't want to feel the withdrawals. I didn't want to feel all the pain and suffering, and I just didn't want to feel. And if it was me dying at that point in time, I didn't even think about death. I just thought about, I just don't want to feel this the way I feel anymore.
I gotta interrupt you because that's like the main thing, how addiction is that you had everything. You just had a kid. You were the main part of a motocross supercross team that just won the #1 plate. On the outside, you were on top. So it's kind of sad, like how gnarly addiction is. Just how it looks so good. You look like you have everything on the outside, and then what's really going on in the outside. That's how it was for me and all these guys.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
A lot of people don't really understand about addiction, like how gnarly it grabs a hold of you, and you could put this front up like life is great, but the demons in your head are gnarly. You can't. Once they start talking to you and controlling you and telling you things that you're not, and you start believing them and saying that you need a fix or you need to do whatever you need to do to shut those things off.
Yeah.
I had a beautiful kid. I had a great job. I had a nice house. I had a nice car. I had everything someone would need in life, but I was miserable inside. I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I hated the person that I have become because of depression and addiction. So what I had to do was get honest with myself. And I reached out to some people.
You called me.
I called Colin right away. And the crazy thing is, our friend Brett that just passed away, he had a little bit of time at this time. And I didn't know anyone down where I'm living that would know anything about, to get me Suboxone or whatever. And I called Colin, and he said, hold on, I'm going to call Brett. And Brett, somehow got me some Suboxone. And my friend Brett was there every single day until he took me to the train station and put me on a train and made sure I got on that train before I took off to go to Phoenix to go stay with some really good friends and do an outpatient treatment that I did in Phoenix for 30 days. And Brett was there the whole time for me. That dude freaking cared and loved me when I was crying and saying I can't do this, and said, I can do this. You can do this, Kenny. You can do this. And it just breaks my heart. He couldn't even do it, and he ended up dying.
And after Brett saved your life, after I had my intervention at Deegan's house, Brett made me stay with him for a month to make sure I was sober. So it's so sad how this guy pretty much helped you and me get sober, and then we just had to bury him from him going down the same path. And I know a lot of people are watching out there that you guys aren't alone. How did you turn it around so maybe somebody out there can,
Yeah, what I do works for me.
Yeah.
It might not work for you. What I do is, my number one thing is service. I like to work with others. I go to a lot
From Brett, how did you turn it around right there? For somebody that maybe is watching your story and dude, I want to get sober tomorrow. How did you do it from the last time you took a drug to I got sober?
Okay, what I did and what worked for me was, I needed to detox.
Yeah.
I needed to get off those pills. So what I did a little Suboxone deal.
A lot of people out there, Suboxone, we're not going to get into it. They stay on Suboxone for a year. They go to methadone clinics. They'll tell you to stay on them for a year. That's not the way. Suboxone, 4-day, 3-day program, you're done. We don't need to go into it, but you did it for 2 days.
Yeah, I did mine a little bit longer.
Okay.
I ended up doing it for, I think, 4 days. 4 days. And then I knew that I was done with the DTs. I was done with all the withdrawals, and it was still very uncomfortable. But you know what? I knew that it was going to be okay. I still needed to feel I didn't sleep for 3 or 4 days. I still felt like shit. But you know what? I wanted to stay sober more than I wanted to use.
How long did it take? Is so many people. How long does it take till you start feeling good? A couple weeks?
I was starting to feel before the fog totally lifted, I was still kind of hazy and couldn't focus in on people and talk to people, and I just felt really weird. I would have to say 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
2 to 3 weeks before it all started to happen. But I'll tell you what, when it really started, the fog really started to lift, when I got out of myself, when I really started to say, you know what, I would go to meetings or I would talk to other people, and I realized my life isn't that bad.
Mm-mm.
I had a really good counselor to talk to about.
And that you're not the only person dealing with that.
And it's I had a really good counselor I could talk to about my depression and my upbringing and things that I did. And believe me, I'm no saint. Just because when I was using drugs out there, liar, cheater, thief, stealer, womanizer, all those crazy things. And I wish I could sit here and say I'm none of those things right now sober, but hey, I don't have a halo on my head. I still do stupid things sometimes, but I'm trying to work on those on a daily basis to be a better person. Mm-hmm. This is a work in progress. It's not you get sober and you wave a magic wand over your head and boom, you're a saint. No, you have to work for it, and every day. I started last night. I went to we're doing a step study meeting, and it's a 16-week commitment, and it's it's part of growing. There's dudes in that meeting with 30 years that are doing their steps over and over again. And like I said, AA, it works for me. I identify as an alcoholic, even though I'm a drug addict, but I communicate and really think that, I drank when I used a lot. And if there was no drugs around, I would try to drink. So That's why I identify as that. But today, like Colin said, I have a little over a year, and man, this first year, a lot of shit has happened in this first year.
I've seen it. It's been amazing. I think what I got just from you is, and what other people say is, like, you get out of rehab, it doesn't happen. Like, they see, like, I post a lot about my truck, about all this, because I'm so proud because I got it all back. It didn't happen. I remember after rehab, I was printing t-shirts for like $8 an hour, like, just to find who I was in life. You get sober and things just happen. Like the people in AA class that are really working the steps, really making sobriety one, fucking miracles happen, dude. Yeah. I think miracles are happening with you. I know miracles are happening with me every day. This is my meeting right here. I gotta admit, I don't go to AA meetings like I tell everybody, but
what's crazy?
Shit that I'm doing.
It's what I've learned this time around going to meetings. What I really enjoy is watching other people grow. Yeah. Like, I see a dude that come in, behind me, 6 months behind me, and just watch the change in his life and watch him change. It's phenomenal. And, for me to be there and watch that guy grow, or if I could share something, and it's crazy because, like, I've been around this program a long time, and my sponsor always tells me, like, I went on an H&I panel the other night, and, I was like, man, I don't got that much time. And he's like, dude, you have wisdom. Yeah. Like, you know how this program works. Just because you went out and used doesn't mean you don't know how it works.
Yeah.
So, today my life is amazing, and, when I was out there using and locked up in my house for 3 months, one of the greatest gifts that I worked my butt off for, I wasn't even there to enjoy it, is when we won the national championship, because I was so locked up in that addiction. That'll tell you a little bit how powerful my addiction was, that I didn't even give a shit to be there we won the championship.
That's crazy.
And now there's a team picture. I'm on the podium holding the #1 plate up, and I'm not in it, but my good buddy here did a Photoshop and put me in one, so I still have that one. He got me that for my, I think, 6-month anniversary.
I did. I mean, cool. I'm so proud of you, Kenny. I'm just such a motocross fan, and you're my friend, but I look up to you, man. You were there. You sponsored me. You're my first sponsor, Moto-XXX. You've always had my back, dude. I'm so proud of you. I think we can close it out. This guy, you guys heard it. He changed his life around. He's doing it. Do what you guys got to do. Addiction's a messed up life, you guys. You can get your life back. He did it. I did it. It's doable. You can do it. So
hey, I'll make you a deal. Try sobriety, and if you don't like it, I'll refund your misery.
Ooh, that's a good one. We'll close it out. Love you, Kenny. Peace. We're out. Though you weren't with us too long, that was the most precious thing we could lose. While you were here, the fun was never ending.